game of badminton?
No, thanks.
What's the matter? Scared of the little birdie?
Boy, that's it. I am going out there and I'm mopping up the lawn with that guy.
Do not go out there and make a scene. Just remember, you are a bigger person than he is.
Angela, whatever you do, don't mention big.
Okay, I won't. I promise. All right, what do you say we go out there and throw another shrimp on the Barbie?
Okay, you grab his feet.
Hello. Welcome back to AOA, the Who's the Boss podcast. I'm Tori.
And I'm Kevin.
And we are here to rewatch and discuss every single episode of Who's the Boss.
Which, in case you haven't noticed, we are doing it.
We are. We're halfway. So this marks the halfway point. Today's episode is the season finale of season 4. And so now we have 4 more seasons to go.
No.
What?
No, we only have... Oh, yeah, we do. 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, my God. My brain is fried. No, it's all right.
We are halfway.
We're halfway. You're right. You were right.
So all we have to do
halfway, that's
right. All we have to do is what we've done one more time.
Okay.
And I think it's taken us, so we're
how
now
long did it take us?
11 months. So we started this podcast on August 15th. It is now July 10th, and we're recording the
another year, no big deal. But you know what? Maybe we'll, kick it up.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll still be the same amount for the people.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if we had more, I'd post more at a time. But
yeah. That's hard.
But yeah.
And life gets in the way.
We were hoping to get this done in time for the reboot, and I feel like now.
Now it's going to be done way before the reboot.
Right, because the reboot is never going to happen. Okay, so today we're going to cover Season 4, Episode 24. The title of this episode is The Two Tonys. It first aired on Tuesday, May 17th, 1988. It is the season finale, as I've already said. And the TV Guide summary says, the game is pool, and Tony is primed to beat his ex-girlfriend's husband.
Wow, that's pretty good. I mean, it's intense.
I know, it seems...
It's like the start of a, some kind of Sylvester Stallone movie or something. The game is pool. You want mine?
Yes, of course.
I get 2.
Uh-huh.
First one is Tony runs into an old girlfriend who has married another man named Tony, who turns out to have lived in Micelli's shadow ever since. To help boost his ego, Tony Micelli, in parentheses, organizes a pool match. Actually, he doesn't, right? It's the other guy that organizes it.
No, he says, name the game, and Tony says pool. Micelli says pool.
Oh, he does?
I think so.
Oh, okay. Crap. Never mind. He organizes a pool match, which he intends to lose, but there's one problem. He can't stand the other Tony. I don't really know. That kind of goes nowhere. Sorry, let me read the next one. Tony bumps into an old... This is the one that we get every week.
Okay.
From the person we get. I don't want to say their name, but... Tony bumps into an old flame, Darlene, who married an arrogant mattress king. Tony Petardi, but constantly belittles him without realizing so, while measuring every man by practically perfect Micelli.
That's it?
No, I'm sorry. Angelo invites the Petardis.
Angelo?
No, I'm sorry. It says Angelo, and I knew I was going to read it like that, but it's actually Angela.
It is.
It's just there's too many Italian names in this thing, and now I went with Angelo. Angela invites the Petardis for a disastrous barbecue as Petardi keeps challenging Micelli and losing. Angela and Darlene, once informed, convince hero Tony to deliberately let the klutz win at pool, hoping that will restore his self-esteem and hopefully save his marriage. Sorry, that was a lot.
I hate this episode. I'm just going to say it now.
I think that review is better than the episode.
It is. And I'm getting angry listening to that review because they're just going to reward this man for his horrible behavior. Okay.
And yeah, all right. Yeah, let's just go.
This episode was written by Gene Braunstein and Bob Perlow. This is the first episode for each of them, but not their last. So they will be writing quite a few. Let me see. I pulled it up
boy, we
here.
should figure out what they are.
17 episodes.
Oh, wow.
For Gene. Some of them are... So what's interesting is... Okay, there are a couple of things here.
Okay.
Why is this episode the season finale?
Right.
Last week's episode was way stronger than this one.
Last week's episode was a season finale.
It was. It amped up the romance.
Yep.
And it was just a stronger episode overall.
Yeah.
But this... So they wrote the two Tonys and then they wrote Sam's car. So I wonder if there was some sort of deal where they got to write the season closer and the season opener. I don't even know if that would be a thing.
But that almost makes sense because this episode... Not that they didn't know anything about the show or the characters, but it comes out of nowhere. It's one of those what I like to call an isolated episode that doesn't build on anything.
Yes.
Which is fine. Those are fine. Some of those episodes are funny, but this just comes out of nowhere. And for a finale, I feel like I need a cliffhanger, and this does nothing for me.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Anyway.
Okay, so I don't understand why this was the season finale, especially since the episode we watched last week, Sleep Talk, Sweet Talk, was shot way beforehand.
Right.
So it's not like it wasn't ready, or
I don't know. We'll never know.
Unless this episode wasn't ready because they had to build that other set. I have no idea.
Before the next 11 to 12 months, I want answers. We have to find somebody.
Okay, so we might be able to talk to a writer at some point. So if we can... I'll try.
They're not going to know. They won't know.
Well, no, they won't know specifics. But I'm just curious about how some of these writing things worked. Like, if some episodes were contracted out, or if people submitted scripts and they accepted some, obviously through agents and stuff, professionals submitting scripts, and then they were accepted. So, yeah, I'm just curious as to how the writing worked. Okay. When this episode opens, it is... We believe like one of the first days of spring. It's kind of one of the first warm days. And Mona's walking into the house carrying a flower. Angela's like, "Oh, Mother, so sweet. You went to the Wilson's garden and ripped off your first flower of the season." So, and Mona's like, it's the rite of passage when spring.
Rite of spring.
Rite of spring. And she's like, it's when the first hard hats come out and say, "Hey, baby, you want some of this?"
What the... Anyway... You want some of this.
The construction workers are out and just being disgusting.
And guess who likes it?
Of course, Mona likes it. I feel like you never get to hear stories about the construction workers you see who just say hi and are perfectly polite people.
I know, but I don't know. That's a thing in the past, I think, construction.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure
at least
they probably
at
used
women.
to, and
I'm sure,
way more than they do now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know there's a King of Queens episode that they base it on that. Like,
really?
Yeah, but it's like Doug pays the construction workers yell at Carrie to make her feel better. So it kind of goes in that direction.
I know.
But anyway.
Because it is disgusting, but then you're also like, well, thanks.
Yeah,
I mean,
they like what they see.
So Angela's like, isn't that a bit crude? And Mona says, that's the point, Angela.
Yes, come on,
So she goes into the kitchen to do who knows what with this random flower she's stolen. Now, the kids come in from that side door in the back, and they are very excited because they just beat Tony at a game of basketball. They're like, we crushed him. And Tony's like, no, I let them win. Next time I'm going to play with both hands. And
with both hands.
Sam's like, oh, come on, Dad. Remember how you always say winning isn't everything? Well, boy, you were wrong. And so they leave. They're all proud of themselves. But again, Tony's trying to let Angela know, like, I let them win to help build their confidence.
Right.
But Angela's not buying it. She's like, you are so competitive and you hate to lose. But Tony says that he hasn't had much practice at it. Now, I can see that's kind of true. Like, good things happen to Tony Micelli, and he does win a lot. But let's not forget, he was not a great baseball player.
That's true.
Even before he hurt his shoulder, we're always hearing stories about how he had bad batting averages.
Yeah, he's batting at 200.
Or his team lost when somebody was hoping the other team would win. So, yeah, I mean, he has a little bit of experience with losing. And he says, okay, you know what? I'm going to go make you the best lunch. I'm going to go make you a winning lunch. Because it's a beautiful warm day, and it's going to be great. But Angela's like, you know what? Instead, why don't we go over to the Fairfield Inn and get a nice, refreshing salad? That's what Angela would like for this first.
Is this, I'm sorry, is the Fairfield Inn something that's already been referenced?
Yes.
And I'm drawing a blank.
Fairfield Inn is where Angela and Jeffrey and he and that other girl went to have sex.
Oh, yeah. Okay, all right. I knew it sounded familiar, and I'm like, what episode was Fairfield in?
And he also had sex with Angela's sorority sister at the Fairfield Inn.
Oh, right.
So the Fairfield Inn is just where you go have sex. So why don't you guys
have a nice salad?
It's the first day of spring, guys. Go have a nooner, and then you can have a salad afterwards.
Rites of spring.
Yeah,
we get a salad afterwards.
But he says, no, let's do this right. Let's get a big, thick roast beef sandwich, dripping with mustard, and a side order of beans with the little pork cubes floating around in there. And that's what he considers to be refreshing on the first warm day of spring.
Now, what I'm thinking is when you go to the Fairfield Inn, you sit outside and have your salad because it's a nice day. Mm-hmm. And Tony says, no, we're going to go to a divey ass bar in Brooklyn where there's no windows, and we're going to have a nasty roast beef sandwich.
I know. And Angela, at first, she's like, okay, roast beef, I can be convinced. And listen, I understand, Angela. I can definitely be convinced of roast beef anytime.
You think?
But so she's like, sign me up. Where are we going? And he says, Marty's Melody Room. She's like, that dive in Brooklyn? And he says, it's not a dive, it's a joint.
It's a joint.
So now they drive 1 hour and 16 minutes,
I
which
know.
is what
I thought the same thing. Like, I know it's far.
I asked Alexa, because I don't want to say her name loud, how long it would take. And she said 1 hour and 16 minutes from Fairfield, Connecticut to Brooklyn. So I would be super hangry by this point. It must have been 10:30 when he suggested this. Otherwise, it was ridiculous. So they walk into Marty's Melody Room, and it looks just kind of sad. There's not really a whole lot of people.
It looks like a little dive bar. I like it.
It is. It definitely is a fun little dive
place.
bar. And he's like, oh, it's spring. It's the smell of pool chalk in the air. So he goes in there and he's like, this place hasn't changed at all. Now, and I meant to look this up.
What?
Is this the same bar where she got into the fight with that lady?
It kind of looks like it is.
Well, it's not the same set, but I feel like it was also called Marty's Melody Room.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You don't think it's the same set?
I don't think so because because I don't remember it being this big with the pool tables. It was kind of smaller.
Oh, God, what episode was that?
It was way in season 1.
All right.
I'll pause. Okay, we're back. It is the same bar.
Yeah. Right, same title, but the set looks a little bit different.
The set is different, but there is a pool table. It's just in that first episode, everything's kind of more compact, and when they walk in the door, they don't walk behind the pool table like they do in this episode. And then Marty's not behind the bar in that episode either. It's Joey Mook.
Yeah, Joey Mook. I mean, whatever.
So they walk in, and Tony says, this place hasn't changed a bit. Come on, I'll introduce you to Marty. And he says, hey, paisan. And then a man turns around at the bar, and it's not Marty.
No.
And I'm going to say this only because you can't see it, but the man is Asian.
Yes.
So he's like, oh, you're not Marty.
Which makes it funny because
he's
not Italian.
Exactly. And he says, oh, no, I'm Kim Lee, but you can call me Marty because I'm not going to change the name of the place.
Yeah.
Which is good because if somebody, I don't know the reputation of Marty's Melody Room. Tony really seems to like it.
Yeah.
But if you buy a place and it has a good reputation, you normally don't want to change the name.
Right.
You don't want people to think it's going to be different. And he's like, oh, okay, Marty. Well, do you still have the roast beef sandwich? And he says, oh, yeah, it comes with fried rice and an egg roll.
I know. See,
yes, now
why does it got to go down that road?
Yeah, now I don't like that because why would it have to come with fried rice?
The place did change because the sandwich comes with fried rice and an egg roll.
And which is totally fine, but
it doesn't make any sense except for the fact that it's an Asian.
Because it's an Asian guy, right? Okay. So then Angela says, "All right," and then throw in a couple of brewskis, barkeep.
Yeah, Angela.
Tony's like, "Oh, Angela, that inner city talk." He's getting
Tony's
a little turned on. Yeah. And and then I think Angela says something like, "You're bad, bro."
Right. So it just went just a little too far.
Yes. I'm sorry. What did he say his name was? Oh, Kim Lee. Okay, so Kim Lee hands them the beers, and they go to sit down. So Tony sees a pool table. He's like, oh, Angela, look, a pool table. Let me show you some moves here. Get ready to watch the master. Again, Tony's very competitive.
I know.
He's got to show off. He wants to show off for his lady here.
Watch the master.
So he breaks the balls and they go scattering everywhere, and Angela is quite impressed. She's like, oh, look, you hit them all and they ran around and you got one in. And Tony's like, oh, yeah, sometimes I can get 2 or 3 in.
I know. We've got to keep bragging.
Of course. So he asks her if she would like to try, and she's all like, oh, I don't know. And okay, haven't we already set up that Mona is like a pool shark? Is a pool shark a thing? Is that the right word? No, that's a card shark.
No. Well, there is a pool shark, but I
okay.
think it's more of like, isn't that where you act like you're not good and then?
Well, she did do that, I think, in an episode.
Yeah, then that is the exact definition of a pool shark.
Oh, really? Okay.
Act like you're not good, and then you just everybody
is that
starts
what that
betting.
means?
People
Oh,
start
I
betting, and
see.
then they get in and they just kill everybody, and
Gotcha.
they make a bunch of money.
So Angela was a card shark in that episode where she played poker with them. Then.
Right.
Okay, I did not realize
Shark.
that. Okay, so he sets up a really easy hit for her, or I don't know,
Hit.
a really easy poke. What would you call it?
I don't know if I call it a hit or a poke.
Okay. Well, here's my favorite.
Shot. I think it's a shot.
This is
It's
okay.
not a hit.
Shot. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. So here's one of 2 of my favorite parts of this episode.
Yeah.
So he's showing her how to play pool, and he sets it up, and then he's trying to get her to hold it correctly, and their little fingers are doing like a little footsie dance. It's her little finger dance. It's very cute.
The old finger dance.
Yeah. So he's like, it's tricky. Yeah, it's okay. You got it. So then he says, okay, now do this. And then he kind of like, he tells her, don't be disappointed if you don't hit anything because it takes years of practice. So she's getting all ready. And then he kind of like tugs her to the side a bit, like in front of him to position her. And then she gives him a look and he's like, oh, I'm just, pointing you in the right direction. So they're being a little flirty here. So she hits the ball and she makes it in. And she's very excited.
So proud of herself.
She's so proud of herself. And then Tony's just like, yeah, okay, whatever. Give me the stick. Because he doesn't want her to be too good. He's still got to be better.
Right. But like, give her a chance.
I know. So now he sets up another shot. And he hits the ball. And right as that's happening, a woman walks in. And she yells, hey, Kim Lee, make 2 roast beefers. And make sure they're thick and dripping with mustard. And as soon as Tony hears the voice, he's like, I know that voice. So he says, Darlene, and the lady who's at the bar now turns around, and she's recognizes Tony.
Yeah.
They obviously know each other. So they're like, oh, I can't believe it's you. I can't believe it's you. And they give a hug. And she says, what are you doing here? And then she's like, oh, wait, don't tell me. It's the first warm day of spring. So is getting
That's a common thing.
a hot roast beef sandwich with beans and pork cubes?
I don't know.
Like
I
I looked it up. I didn't see anything. Okay. So I don't know if that's like
it's like a Brooklyn thing.
Brooklyn
maybe,
thing,
or a joke
yeah.
or
So either it was something that's an inside thing with Tony Danza, or it doesn't exist and they just made it up. I just realized in the background here you can see a photograph of a nun on the wall.
Oh.
So he's like, yeah, you got that right. So he's all excited. He's like, oh, finally, one of the guys. So he introduces her to Angela. And she's like, oh, I always love meeting one of the guys. Now, this guy is a blonde woman who's very attractive, tall, thin, and obviously knows Tony. So she's like, oh, so nice to meet you. And he introduces her as Darlene Del Vecchio. Great Italian name.
I know. That is. All of these names.
And he doesn't really say that they dated at this point or anything, but then she corrects him and says, well, it's actually Pitardi now.
Right.
And Tony says, oh, some guy got lucky. And she says, lots of guys got lucky.
Oh, my gosh. Wow. That's one
okay,
way
darling.
to, yeah, really.
And she says, but wait until you see the one that I ended up with. He's very successful, and he has the sweetest disposition. And just then, her sweetest disposition husband comes bursting through the doors, and he's yelling that there's no place to park in the neighborhood, and he wants his food. So then she goes and gets him, and she's like, oh, Tony, here, come. I want you to meet a friend of mine. So she introduces him to Tony Micelli and Angela Bauer. She says, this is my husband, Tony Pitardi. Now, Tony Pitardi immediately knows Tony Micelli. He's heard the name before. And so he's like, oh, you're the famous Tony Micelli.
Yeah, legend.
Yeah. And Tony's like, first he thinks it's a good thing. He's like, oh, yeah. Like maybe he thinks he knows him from playing baseball or whatever. And but he instead knows Tony because of his wife. So Tony Micelli asks Tony Pitardi how he's doing. And he's like, oh, I do incredibly well. Unbelievably well. Like, he's trying to be all, like, fancy. And puffed up around Tony. Angela asks them, do you live around here? And Darlene says, no, but Tony's first mattress store is right around the corner. So he started with one mattress store.
In Brooklyn.
Right. Now he has 3 outlets. He's a wholesaler. He's a retailer. He has tons of mattress stores. And his wife calls him her little mattress munchkin.
Now, if he wasn't in the mattress business, somebody calling you the mattress munchkin, it's a terrible nickname.
Even if you're in the mattress business,
I know, it's still
someone
a terrible
calling
nickname.
you a mattress munchkin.
My nickname is the mattress munchkin. Like, yeah, I guess it's not something you own. Right?
So then Angela notices that there's a hair in her beer.
Right, like...
Let's get back to Marty's melody room here. And Tony's like, oh, just like the old days. And Darlene's like, oh, yeah, she understands, too. So then Angela says,
But what's the significance of the hair in the beer, except just like that?
It's, well, one...
It's just like the old days.
I guess one, just because it's a dive bar. And 2, we've got to set up Darlene's next insult to her husband, which this happens to her all the time.
How could I forget?
Tony sheds like crazy.
Right.
He was voted in high school most likely to recede.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, I remember now.
But she must have just heard that story, because I don't get the impression that they all went to high school together, because it doesn't seem like Tony Micelli knows Tony Pitardi. And it doesn't seem like Tony Pitardi knows Tony Micelli other than what he's heard from Darlene.
Oh, okay.
So I think he just probably, like, why would you tell your wife that? In high school, I was voted most likely to recede. Or she's just insulting him again and making that up. And Angela's trying to cover for him or help him out. She's like, oh, well, a lot of men lose their hair. It's perfectly natural. But Darlene says to Tony Micelli, except for you, Tony.
Right.
You seem to have more hair now than you did in high school.
Not sure how that's possible, but sure.
And Tony Micelli's like, oh, trying to play it off. It's a curse. It's really hard to dry. So then Angela says she needs the ladies' room because she would like to go freshen up. And Darlene offers to go with her because she needs someone to hold the door shut.
Right. And you have to dodge the mop that's in there, too.
Right. And as they're walking...
And how does Tony know there's a mop in the ladies' room?
I don't know, because he's probably had sex in that women's restroom. That's why. So as they're walking off to the restroom, Angela asks Darlene, like, so were you and Tony an item? And she's like, well... I could tell you where his other tattoo is.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Yeah, and Angela's interested. She says, let's talk.
Yep.
And they go to the bathroom. So Darlene's basically saying here that they were never really boyfriend and girlfriend, and it was more of just kind of a hookup. So Tony and Tony sit down, and Pitardi asks Micelli, how do you make a buck? And Tony's like, well, I'm actually Angela's housekeeper. And Tony Pitardi's like, oh, that's, an interesting line of work. How much do you pull down? Tony's like, I don't really like to talk about money. And then Tony Pitardi's like, I love talking about money.
Yeah, of course.
That's how I got a big house with a big yard. I think your episode's going to cut here.
Okay.
He says, I have a big dog, a big parakeet, and then Tony says, and big newspapers, which did make me laugh.
I know.
Because if your parakeet is large, you're going to need big newspapers.
A lot of newspapers,
yep. Tony doesn't want to talk to this guy anymore. So he's like, hey, Kim Lee, where are the sandwiches? And Tony Pitardi's like, oh, I'll handle this. So he gets up and he goes over and says, hey, Kim Lee.
Yeah, you got a VIP over there.
Yeah, a VIP, a very important Pitardi.
Oh, dear.
I know.
This guy.
And I love Kim Lee's character here. I wish we would have seen him again. He's like, oh, coming right up, sir. What a jerk.
Oh, yeah, the guy walks away. It's like, what a jerk.
So Tony comes back to the table and he's like, I know how to handle people. I got a big staff, a big office, a big typewriter.
Yeah, of course.
What does that mean?
It's just extension of the penis.
Right.
Everything's big.
Tony Pitardi kind of reminds me of Donald Trump.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
Pretty
then
much.
Tony's like, Angela! So Tony Pitardi asks Tony Micelli if he would like to play a game of pool because Darlene told him that he was a good pool player back in high school. But he's probably not so a very good player anymore because he was younger then. And Tony's like, yeah, sure, whatever. And then Darlene comes out with Angela, and she hears them talking about pool, and she says to her husband, be glad Tony doesn't want to play because he would kill you.
See, she knows. She remembers the legend
Right.
of Tony and the pool table.
Yes. And this woman she doesn't really have a filter around her husband. Like, she just keeps saying mean things to him and also things that probably don't make him feel good about himself.
No.
But she's not his problem. This guy is just kind of an asshole all around. Okay, so she says that he'll kill you, and then Tony says, well, thank you for your support. So right then, the sandwiches are ready. So Kim Lee says, here, the roast beef sandwiches are 2 to stay and 2 to travel.
Yeah, very cool. I know. I like that.
So Darlene and Tony say goodbye, and Darlene's like, it was great to see you again. And she says to Angela, we'll see you tomorrow.
Right.
Who invites... Okay, so then Tony's like, why are we going to see them tomorrow? Oh, at the barbecue. And he's like, why are we going to see them tomorrow? Where is this barbecue? Do we have to go? And she says, no, we're actually hosting it.
Yeah, so like, time out.
Yeah.
She pretty much said, tomorrow we'll have a barbecue, not maybe knowing what Tony's plans are. Maybe Tony...
Right. It's Sunday. Doesn't Tony get a day off?
I don't know. Probably not. But now Tony's got to plan a whole frickin' barbecue.
I know.
Because Angela's not planning it or cooking or doing anything.
No. Who's going to the grocery store?
So much for relaxing around the...
Right.
And TV and watching some baseball.
She went into the bathroom for like 37 seconds.
And next thing you know, these people are coming over for a barbecue.
And she found out where his other tattoo is.
Yes.
I bet she didn't even pee. She had no time.
All right.
Okay. So he's like, no, I don't. He doesn't want to have that. She's like, oh, it'll be fine. Now we're at the next day of the barbecue.
Yeah. And you know what? I gotta give Tony some props here. It's a charcoal barbecue. None of that easy gas shit. Yes. We're going charcoals. I'm going to light the coals.
Yeah.
I'm going to let them flame up.
How do you know what the temperature is?
That's the secret of grill.
Right.
That's the manly way to grill. You throw
is
all
that
the
what
coals
you have to do
in
when
there.
you go camping?
Yeah, this is how we do it when we go camping.
Oh, gosh.
And then you just, it gets super hot.
I guess
and like,
you could put
really
a little thermometer in there, no?
Yeah, you think Tony Micelli's putting a thermometer in
yes, I do.
No. No.
No,
but you just you get as hot as you can.
Yeah.
I mean, usually you cook burgers, it's got to be like 500 degrees anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
That's very Tony with the barbecue. That's maybe there weren't a lot of. I mean, there were gas grills back then, but
yeah, but I feel like charcoal barbecues were way more.
That's true.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, sorry.
Jonathan says, "What a phoebe." Who invited him anyway? I feel like there was something cut out of this version even, like leading up to Jonathan saying what a phoebe. But maybe not.
Right, because
like
what
in the
was
original.
Jonathan's interaction with...
Right, I don't know. They don't say.
Yeah.
And look, Angela's at least helping out by making a salad.
No.
She's helping Tony for the barbecue that she...
Oh, okay. Well, I'll make the salad.
Right. and we had to look up phoebe. I didn't know what phoebe meant.
Yeah,
and it just means a stupid person.
Foolish or stupid person.
Yeah. Okay. Now, so he walks out, and Tony's like, that's a good question, asking Angela who invited him anyway. And then he goes over to do something else, and Samantha comes in, and she's like, this guy is a total doofus. What is he doing in our backyard? And she goes running out of the kitchen.
Like,
as well.
everybody knows this guy's an idiot.
I know. This guy is an idiot. I know. And Tony says, oh, another good question. So Angela's like, okay, I invited them because I thought you might like to have some people from over from Brooklyn. And he's like, yeah, some people, not some petardis.
Petardis.
But
that doesn't sound right.
oh yeah, you don't think that was?
I don't know, probably not.
Yeah.
But that's how my brain was working.
Yeah. Now I'm a little suspicious of that. Okay. And Angela already knows all of his friends, so why doesn't she just invite some of them over? Okay, so she's like, all right, let's just be good hosts, put on our happy faces, and get back out there. Mona stands up. Oh, I forgot to mention, Mona's been in the kitchen this whole time.
I know, you did forget to mention that.
There she is. And she says, this reminds me of your 10th birthday party. I think I'll do what I did then. Goodbye. And she leaves. So you left your 10-year-old daughter.
Yeah, I know. It's like you know. It's like you wonder why Angela has so many freaking problems.
So from outside, Tony Pitardi is yelling, "Hey, Micelli, how about a game of badminton?" And Tony says, "No, thanks." He yells out the window. And he's like, "What's the matter? What's the matter? You scared? Scared of the little birdie?" So he's getting all angry and he's going over. He's like, "I'm going to go out there and I'm going to mop up the yard with him."
Okay, what does that mean? I've heard of mop up the floor.
Well, yeah, wouldn't you like
You don't mop up a yard.
mow the yard with him?
I'm going to mow him down. I don't know. That was funny.
And Angela's like, "Don't go out there and make a scene. Just remember, you're a bigger person than he is." And he's like, "Don't say the word big." Because that's all that guy describes everything he has is big. And she's like, "Okay, I won't, I promise." So she's like, "How about we go out there and throw another shrimp on the Barbie?" And he's like, "Okay, I'll grab his feet."
I know. Do you know where the shrimp on the Barbie comes from?
Is that from Crocodile Dundee?
It is, actually.
Okay.
I just didn't realize
know.
it went back that far, but it was shrimp on the Barbie is this is what I found on the interwebs.
Mm-hmm.
It's a phrase that originated in a series of television advertisements by the Australian Tourism Commission, starring Paul Hogan.
Okay.
From 1984 to 1990. So it would make sense that
Yeah.
they were probably
Very popular.
yeah,
at this point,
those commercials
yes.
were running all the time. And the full quote spoken by Hogan is, "I'll slip an extra shrimp on the Barbie for you."
Okay.
So
So it's not actually in the movie, but it's that guy.
no, it was a commercial
Right.
advertising. You know, it's from the Australian Tourism Group,
Right.
trying to get people to come to
That's
Australia. And then and the actual slogan of the ad was, "Come on, say good day," or something.
Oh.
I don't know.
Side note, I had a huge crush on him when Crocodile Dundee came out.
Oh, is that right?
Yes,
Oh,
and I was
Hogan?
probably like 8. And
Well-
he was probably 50.
Well, it's all right. 50.
I don't know
But
how old he was.
I didn't. I mean, everybody always says that, and I know shrimp on a bar. I looked it up. I'm like, I want to know what the reference is.
I
And-
thought it was an Outback
these-
Steakhouse reference, too.
Well, I think that actually this Wikipedia article covers that or whatever.
okay.
But the original thing was, and then the ads ran between 1984 and 1990, which would make sense that
Right.
they
We're in
were
88
very
here.
popular during this. During Who's the Boss? Gosh, sorry.
Now, Angela thinks that that's very funny. She's turned around and she's laughing so hard. And Tony goes out into the, and this is where the antenna TV one picks up, right? Or is it
I
even
pick
later
back
than
up
this?
again. Why don't? Yeah.
Close to this. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's out there and he's like, I can't believe you, Micelli. You invite me over here and you don't want to play any games. Like, who invites you over to a barbecue and then just starts playing games?
No one said anything about games.
No. Barbecue means you're going to get fed. Sit down in a chair and have a beer and shut your face.
So is she sitting now? She's sitting in a chair. She's sunning. She has one of those things.
Oh, is that what she has?
I don't know what the hell is going on.
Or is that a
there.
newspaper? No,
No,
she
it's
has one of those things.
Like a sun thing.
Yes, so that like 80s sun thing.
Yeah,
where,
the threefold thing, and you put it over, and it
Yes.
gives you sun.
So not only
I
are
didn't
you
notice
then,
that the first time we watched it till right now.
not only are you then damaging your face from above, but you're actually able
Right.
to damage your face from below.
Well, you can evenly damage your face.
You can make sure that that little piece of your nose that normally points to the ground
Is burnt.
gets sun. Right? Looks red.
Oh my god, that's hilarious! That's what she's doing.
Yes,
So
I don't,
silly.
I don't actually know. I don't remember anyone in real life using those.
I never saw somebody with.
But
that.
I
don't
remember
think.
being big in movies and TV shows in the
Yes.
80s.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So now Tony's had it with him, and he's like, okay.
Can you imagine now just showing up at some public pool with that? I'm like, people be like, "What is happening over there?" And you're just like settling in, and I'm holding. my
Oh
little,
man, I wish we would have seen this before we just went to the beach.
I know, we
I would have
could've
done
done
it.
it.
I
Yeah.
don't. Where could you even buy one of those?
I
have
don't.
to look
We'd
on
have to
eBay.
make it.
Yeah,
Get
you'd have
some
to
cardboard and
make
some aluminum foil.
Oh my
I can
gosh,
make one
that's
for
even
you.
better.
I know.
Okay. So now Tony's all pissed off with this guy, and he's like, listen, name your game, your time, and your place, and I'm there. And Angela comes running over. She's like, this is a barbecue.
Not a track and field event.
Yeah. And then the wife's getting involved too. She says, she's right, shortcake. Remember your ulcer, and you don't want your tendinitis to flare up.
This guy's got a lot of problems.
I know. He really does. And this lady is no help to him whatsoever.
I know.
He's like, why don't you just give them my whole medical history? She's like, I didn't mention the hiatal hernia.
Oh, God.
What is the hiatal? Is that just a regular hernia?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
I mean, like regular hernia, like I don't even know if there's more than one type. Or
maybe there's
maybe
the
that's
regular
what
and then there's the hiatal. Big difference.
They all just sound horrible.
They
whatever
do.
They are.
They do. Nobody don't want any of them.
No. All right. And so he's like, okay, so I'm sorry. Tony Petardi says, okay, pool, Marty's Melody Room tomorrow. Did he say tomorrow?
He does say tomorrow.
So what is this, a 3-day
So they
weekend?
had to spend 3 straight days with these people. God.
And so wait, did Angela take the... So
Angela took the day off for the competition. I don't know. I have no idea.
Was it like a spring Friday? Maybe it's a holiday weekend? I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it was Memorial Day.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because now, yes, they're on the third day of going to do something with these people. So he's like, okay, you're on. And he says, you're dead meat. And he says, you're deader meat. And then Angela says, I love barbecues.
I know. Like, stop trying.
I know. Zero help. Okay, so now we're in the kitchen where Angela's drying some dishes. Look, at least she made the salad and she's drying some dishes.
That's fine.
And Tony Petardi comes in and he's like, this is a lovely place you have here, Angie. And he says, tell me, how old are your mattresses? And she's like, excuse me? And then she remembers that he's the mattress king. She's like, oh, I don't know, like 9-10 years maybe. And he's like, you should really replace them. You don't want to commit matricide. This guy's such a cheeseball.
I know.
Also, we should point out that he's wearing like a powder blue shirt. He's wearing like a 70s looking outfit.
I know.
Powder blue shirt with like a big white collar and like powder blue plaid pants and then a sports coat over that. Or a blazer, whatever that would be called. And so he says, I'm the king of mattresses and I could easily make you my queen. And he goes up behind her and grabs her. And then she does like an elbow strike to him and he doubles over. And she's like, oh, it worked. My instructor was right.
No, it's great.
So apparently Angela takes self-defense classes that night. Where's that episode?
I know. And this guy's a cheeseball.
I know. This guy is horrible. Okay, so now she's like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Right.
So she's now apologizing to this married man who just made a pass at her in her own kitchen. And he's like, oh, it's fine. And he's like, I'm the one that's sorry. He tells her to stay away from him because he's now afraid of her. And he's like, I'm just under a lot of pressure lately.
I know. But this almost feels like a scenario that probably happened over and over again back in the... Well, I say back in the 80s.
I know, probably
all the time.
Not all the time.
Man,
Yeah.
I'm under a lot of pressure, and women are apologizing.
Right. I'm so sorry that I came on to you. I'm just, I'm really under a lot of pressure.
I'm so sorry.
But it's just, this is one of the main reasons I can't stand this episode because this guy is a total douche, and they just reward his behavior by trying to make him feel better about himself.
I know.
He
should have gone right outside and told...
He should have told her his wife.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
That's
your
what I'm
husband
trying to
just made a
remember the
pass
name.
at me, and you need to leave now.
Right.
Okay, so he says, for years I've been chasing the myth of Tony Micelli, and you have no idea what it's like living in the shadow of another person. But Angela's like, oh, I do. And so she tells him this story about her college roommate, who I'm guessing is Trish, the lady that we met, who slept with Tony at the Fairfield Inn.
Right.
That she was a head cheerleader, she was homecoming queen, and she had a boyfriend named Dirk. And he's like, listen, this is my problem that we're talking about here. And she's like, oh, yeah, sorry, okay.
And then you could tell that Angela's visibly frustrated.
Now, I don't think you have this part in the Antenna TV version. This is when he says, sometimes I think Darlene married me just so that when we make love and she calls out Tony, she won't be saying the wrong name.
Oh, dear.
I know. Now Angela looks like she wants to leave this kitchen so badly, and she doesn't know what's happening. He says, I have to put up with that every third Tuesday, like clockwork.
Third Tuesday?
So every 3 weeks on Tuesday.
Only Tuesday?
Yes, he gets to have sex. I wonder why it's Tuesday.
I don't know.
Maybe there's nothing good on TV? They obviously don't have children. Okay.
I know.
So he's like, every third Tuesday, like clockwork. And Angela's like, okay, I need to get out of here. So now outside by the grill, by the charcoal grill that Tony has mastered.
Yes.
she's saying to him, Darlene's saying to him, I just want you to know he's usually a very sweet person.
Yeah, except for just now in the kitchen.
Right, yes. She says maybe his colon was acting up. She says, I'm sorry, spastic colon was acting up. And now Tony's like, listen, whatever you do, don't let your Blue Cross Blue Shield run out.
I know, because he's got a lot of problems.
He does. And she says that she thinks it's partly mental. And he's like, yeah, I'm sure it is. And he's like, it would probably help if you didn't put him down so much. And I think that this is actually really good advice for Tony to give this lady. I don't like either of these people, and I really don't care what happens to them. But I think it's nice that he is kind of saying to her, like, you need to not insult him, especially in front of other people, if this is someone that you truly care about.
Right. Even though the guy's a jerk.
Right. I mean, he's a jerk, and that's a complete side,
Don't look up spastic colon.
Oh, no.
Well, I mean, it's what you think. It could be.
Is it pooping yourself?
No. I mean, maybe. It's like irritable bowel syndrome.
Oh, okay. Got it.
So, it's sometimes used to refer to irritable bowel syndrome.
Okay, got it.
There's a lot of either bloating, constipation, and diarrhea. So you get a little bit of everything.
Right. Smorgasbord.
I know.
Okay, and she's like, "What do you mean? I don't put him down. I love my little butterball."
Oh, see, she doesn't know.
I know. He's like, "Well, there you go. You don't call a grown man a butterball." And she says it's a term of endearment. And he's like, "Yeah, for a turkey maybe, but not for a person." So she's like, "Oh, you really understand human nature. You should have been a bartender." Which is funny because in the last episode we had the bartender who was also a therapist to Angela. So
that's true.
Those two episodes were not meant to air back to back because of their shooting order, but it's funny that there's a parallel there. Okay, so he's like, "Oh yeah, the road not taken." So Darlene's telling Tony, "I'm really worried about him. Like if he loses, isn't this going to damage his ego?" And Angela's like, "I think it could." She comes out from the kitchen. Instead of saying, "Your husband just made a pass at me."
Right, that's what oh no, let's make this guy feel better about himself, even though he's a son of a bitch. Doesn't make any sense.
Angela's all like, "Oh yes, I think it definitely will damage his ego." So she says she has an idea. And Tony's like, "You want me to call off the match?" She's like, "No, I want you to throw the game." And Tony's appalled by this suggestion.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah. And so then Darlene says, "This could be the answer to everything. It would give him back his self-esteem. This could save our marriage. This could even save his life." Okay.
What?
I know. This shouldn't be up to these two people to save this man's anything. Like, this man needs help, and maybe we should go see a therapist.
Right.
Possibly a
Much better
physician at
idea.
this point. Yeah. Okay. So he's like, "No, I never throw a game. I don't even give points or shave points." He's like, you play and you play to win and you do your best every single time. And Angela says, "If you lose, then you never have to see this guy again." And he's like, "Okay." So he's in.
All of a sudden, it's a good idea.
Yes, now he's ready. So now we're at the day of the game.
You could not see him again anyway.
I know. Just say, "I want you to leave now."
All right, and don't ever come back. And that's how you never see him again. Stupid.
Okay, so now we're at Marty's Melody Room for, I guess, the holiday Monday. Who knows? Or maybe this is Sunday and they had Friday off. I really don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. We'll never know.
We'll never know.
We have to move on. Let it go.
And Angela's saying, "Oh, I hope you have a terrible game." And they're joking because he's got to lose. And she says, "Now don't forget to act disappointed." And he's like doing, "Okay, well, hang on, "Oh, shucks. Oh, darn." Do you not have this part?
I don't think I have any of it.
Really?
It's weird. Yeah, it just fades up from black and Tony's racking the pool table.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, so then she's like, "Well, don't overdo it." So then he's like, "Oh, how about this? I missed. Phooey." They're just being silly. She's like, "That's good." Okay. So then Tony does rack up all the balls and Darlene and Tony Pitardi come in. And she's holding his pool cue in like a case here.
Right, because he's fancy.
He is fancy. Tony, I'm assuming, is just using the one that was on the wall because he is not fancy.
Yeah.
And so he's like, "Micelli." And then Tony says, "Pitardi." And now Tony Pitardi is wearing a full suit.
Right.
Tony Micelli is just wearing a plaid shirt and some jeans. So Tony says to him, "Nice suit." And then he says, "I know."
Of course he does.
Yeah. So then they're talking about how the game's going to be, whatever. Flip a coin, heads, tails, and then it's heads or whatever. And so Tony loses. So I guess Pitardi gets to go first. The wife is in the background getting the pool cue ready. And so he walks over to Angela, and Pitardi says to his wife, cue, and his wife goes running over and she hands it to him.
Yeah.
And then they cut to Tony and he goes, cue. And Angela says, get it yourself.
I know. She ain't having it.
I know. Which is my second favorite part of this episode.
So silly.
I know. It's fantastic. Okay, so now let's just kind of summarize this because it's just a bunch of guys being stupid. So now Pitardi makes the first shot and he does some weird scream and the balls barely even break.
I didn't understand that.
I know. And then, but he does say, he asks Kim Lee, is this regulation felt? And Kim Lee's like, of course, Mr. Pitardi. And then he says, what a jerk. So Tony's like, oh, you didn't really leave me much. But there's balls all over the court. Okay, all over the table.
The court?
I don't know. I don't know sports. Okay, so summarizing here, they just kind of go along and he's letting this guy win. Until we get to the point where there's now 21. This guy's up by 21 balls.
Yeah.
So that's what Tony has to get to be able to win. So Pitardi says, you have to clean this table and the next one, which shouldn't be that difficult since you're a housekeeper.
Oh, poking the bear.
I know. And then he asks him, would you be more comfortable playing with a mop? So Angela goes over and she's like, all right, just ignore him. You're fine. Tony's doing okay. Then he gets ready to take the shot, and Tony Pitardi says, what does that smell? And he's like, what cologne is that? Is it Pledge or Pine Sol? And then he's like, oh, no, it's definitely Mr. Clean.
Ass.
I know, this guy's just a horrible person. And again, Angela goes up to him, and she's like, Tony, you're okay. And then Tony Pitardi says, how did you get to be a housekeeper anyway? Couldn't you find a real job or a job out in the real world? And so Angela goes up to Tony and she's like, Tony? And he's like, yes, I know. I'm okay. And she says, kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kill the butterball.
Yeah, kill the butterball.
And then Tony's like, but Angela, it'll wreck his ego. And she says, he made it pass at me. And he's like, 3 in the corner or whatever. Yeah. And now Tony just goes to town and starts shooting balls everywhere. And I'm like, they probably just had a stage person off camera just chucking balls into the pockets.
Oh yeah, that's how. Yeah, you could tell that's how they shot because they just keep showing every corner pocket and the balls are just flying in.
But they do show some shots of Tony Danza actually hitting.
Well,
I know, of course, but yes, intercut into it. But yeah, it's a Bad to the Bone is playing. It's a fast-paced montage. Kim Lee is very excited too because he's loving watching Tony kick this guy's ass.
I love that they actually used Bad to the Bone. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, I know, it's interesting. They definitely would have had to pay for that. You know what I noticed too? I'm sorry. If you remember this last episode that we covered, I was saying that Angela's hair was large again.
Yes.
And that it's been softer in these episodes, and here it again is softer. And I think it's because we found out that they had shot that episode much earlier in the season, and then they started making her hair a little softer. So maybe that's why it was big again, because that episode had been shot the 12th in the season. Because now, here again, her hair is much softer. Okay, so now we're down to 1 ball left.
Oh boy.
And Pitardi's saying it all comes down to this last ball. And he's like, it's an impossible shot. But Tony's like, no problem. And he does his little snaps. Bag of shells. Yeah. Snap.
Bag of shells.
So then he goes to take the shot, and he misses it. And he's like, oh. And he even seems genuinely upset. And Pitardi's all excited. He says, watch and weep. And then he shoots, and he gets the ball in, and he wins the game.
Yes.
So this little weasel guy's ego is all
all okay.
Oh yes, much better. And he gives his wife a big hug, and she calls him her hero. And then she says, "Let's go home and pretend it's Tuesday."
We know what that means,
right? But just any Tuesday, or are they going to pretend it's the third Tuesday?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a given.
So they're like all excited, and they go running out. And right before he leaves, I guess Tony Pitardi says like one last mean thing to Tony. And Kim Lee says, "What a jerk."
Oh, yeah, of course.
I really
Even
wish we
Kim
would have
Lee
seen
knows.
Kim Lee again in some capacity. I like him. Okay, so Angela's like, don't feel bad. That was a really tough shot. Because she thinks that he actually lost. And then he's like, oh, yeah, I mean, that's a really hard shot. It's like 1 in 1,000, maybe 1 in 1,000,000 to get that shot.
Right.
And then he does it perfectly.
Right. In true Tony
Yep.
Micelli fashion.
Exactly. So then Angela says, "My hero," and she gives him a little punch on the arm, and he's doing bag of shells snappings again.
I know. Always with the snapping. Bag of shells.
All right. So now on the tag, what did they set up another bar? Is this the same day? I don't understand
know.
what's
That's
happening.
where I get confused. I think they just
So wait.
had the barbecue set, so they
Yeah.
just went with it and shot that part. But it also
So it is the
it also
same day
circles
as
back
the-
to Tony being competitive, so it kind of works.
Right. Okay. So it is the same day as the pool match because Angela's wearing the same outfit she had on.
Oh, okay.
But the kids are wearing different clothes from the barbecue. Okay. So yes. So this is the same day as the pool match. So it must be a
So
long
they
weekend.
drove an hour and 15 minutes back.
Right. And then set up the barbecue stuff again.
Oh God, Tony had
So
no rest for the weary.
So they're all playing tug of war against Tony. So on one side, it's Angela, Mona, Samantha, and Jonathan. And then on the other side, it's Tony. And Tony is closest to the barbecue. And Mona says, "Jonathan, are you even pulling?" And he says, "Grandma, my hands are bleeding."
Oh, poor little Jonathan. Can't be any good at tug of war.
No. So then they're like, "Come on, can we stop this? I'm getting hungry." And Tony's like, "Oh, you know what? I'm actually a little hungry myself." So he tugs all of them over to the barbecue, grabs a bun, picks up a hot dog, dips it in mustard.
And the actual mustard.
Yes, and then takes a bite. And he's like, "This is really good. Does anybody want some?" And they all say yes, and they let go of the rope.
No,
So then
wacky.
Tony goes flying into the bushes.
And that's the end of the episode.
That is
right?
the end of this episode,
Okay.
yes. You know what? I didn't hate it as much just doing this now.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I still don't like it.
right?
But it had some fun moments.
Oh yeah, for sure it did. But it's just
Yeah.
like that guy is such a
I know, the guy is a
sleazeball,
complete...
and it just seems like an odd season finale.
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. We didn't talk about any of the actors. I was so angry.
Oh, right.
But, okay, so the man who played Tony Pitardi, his name is... I have it right here. Derek McGrath. He is a Canadian actor.
Ooh.
And yeah, he's been in quite a few things. And I recognized him. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't recognize him from it because I haven't gotten to his episodes yet. But I noticed that he most recently did 13 episodes of a TV show called Kim's Convenience, which is a Canadian show that's been put on Netflix. So there's like 4 seasons of it on Netflix, and it's really cute. So he did quite a bit of work in the 80s. And then the lady Diane Stillwell, who played his wife, not as many credits at all. Few things here and there in the 80s, but she hasn't worked in quite a while.
No.
Since 2008
Oh, my
was her
goodness.
last. Yeah.
Ow.
What happened?
Cat just bit my toe. Sorry.
And then my favorite, Kim Lee, is an actor named Clyde Kasatsu. I don't know if I'm saying that
I
correctly.
love that it's Clyde.
Clyde Kasatsu. And he has
That
300...
guy, I know. I looked
I know,
him up
he
too.
looks familiar. I know.
But I mean,
feel
he
like,
has 300 something credits.
Yes,
That's incredible.
303 credits on
He's
IMDb.
working.
And his latest projects were in 2020. He was in Dirty
Yeah.
John. He's
still
done a lot of
working.
voiceover work. He was in...
Oh, I guarantee. You know what? I bet you I know where he is. I bet you he was in Seinfeld.
Probably.
I bet you. I'm going to find out right
He's
now.
on General Hospital, NCIS, just a lot of stuff. And he's been working since 1970. Oh, my
Wow.
goodness. Was he on Taxi? Let's see.
Oh, that's a good possibility, too. I
He
bet
was
you-
on Taxi. Paul, come as you aren't. Okay, so
So
the
that makes
Taxi,
sense.
yes, it has to be a Tony Danza thing getting all these people from Taxi on Who's the Boss, because now I think we've hit way too many for it to just be a coincidence. Okay, but anyway, I love that guy, and I would have liked to see him back on Who's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Boss.
it was good.
Okay,
It was
so
good.
you go first with rating.
Rating for this episode.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna go 6.5.
Okay. All right.
I
That's
think.
yeah.
Oh, it sounds like that's better than what yours is.
It is.
I mean, I had a few moments, and I think there was, like you said, the part where they're getting the pool cues, and then I love when Angela says, "Get your own."
Yeah.
And then it's Tony's like, it's funny right after he says, "Can you help me out here?" It sounds funny. Like, why can't he get his own damn pool cue?
Because he just wanted to feel important.
I know.
Like
Well,
a
he's
mattress
not.
munchkin.
Too bad.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I mean, it had some funny parts, but 6.5. It wasn't. Still disappointed. It's a season finale. I don't know why. I'm very confused.
Yes.
And I hope
what
this
else
doesn't
is
happen
funny?
again.
Well, listen.
I
Season
know.
7's going to be a pretty
Nothing
big
but
disappointment for you. You know what else is funny about that part with the get it yourself is that it's also an insight to what their marriage would be. Like, this is how this husband and wife operates. He asks the woman for something
That's
and she
true.
jumps
That's a
and
good
gives
point.
it to him.
Right.
And he would ask Angela and she would say, get it yourself.
Of course.
Hang on, the dog's got to go out. Okay, we're back. I gave this episode a 6.
Okay. Well, I only gave it a half.
No, absolutely. And honestly, I probably would have given it a 6.5 if it hadn't been. Although I think I gave last week's a 7 only, right?
I don't know.
Maybe that one should have been higher. This is not
matter.
a season finale.
Right. That's the most irritating thing about
Yeah.
this episode. This is a
Mid-season.
season goes nowhere.
And we really
When I
don't-
say goes nowhere, meaning it doesn't advance.
Right,
It
right,
doesn't
right.
advance Tony and Angela at all.
Yeah. But also, okay, so sweeps aren't really a thing anymore, right? But sweeps were
They are.
huge.
No, they're still a
Okay.
thing. They're still a thing.
Well,
believe it or
especially for
not.
network television, it was huge
Right.
back then. So this is May sweeps, and this is the season finale. Like, I don't know. Just seems weird.
I know, but they would have gotten it anyway because people would have tuned in thinking, oh, it's the last episode of the season.
Right.
So they would have gotten the ratings
But
anyway.
I wonder if they had disappointment after that.
I don't know.
Who's the boss around here? Me? Or my mother? Or maybe it's you?
I went with Tony as the boss. It was a toss-up between Angela and Tony, but Tony stayed steady with what he thought he should do, even though, why did you think you should do that? I don't know. And decided to throw the game at the end anyway, even though Angela said, like, kill him. Kill the butterball.
Kill the butterball.
And that's it. I really don't have any profound reasons as to
No,
why.
I'm right there with you. I mean, and yeah, obviously, and then Tony still let him win in the very end, even
Right.
though she said that, which is what you said, and really that's what makes him the boss. And let's just move on.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to start season 5 next episode, and that episode is Sam's Car. And this is one that I definitely remember. We watched it recently, I think. Not
We
too
did
long ago.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
It must have been though before we started the.
Oh, it was, I think. Because
Yeah.
I think we watched it with the kids.
Right,
it was
because we were
one,
just randomly watching episodes
Yeah.
before we started the podcast.
and I think it's one the kids really liked
Yeah.
also. Okay, so you can reach us at Who's the Boss podcast on Instagram. Or go to Twitter, Who's the Boss Pod 1. Or on Facebook, our page is the Who's the Boss podcast page. Or go to anchor.fm/WTB podcast, and there you can leave us a voice message. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
If you like this podcast, please subscribe and give a big thumbs up and tell all your friends. And maybe you can tell your grandma, your mother, and your sister or brother. Maybe you have no siblings. Tell your dog and cats. Bye.